And this is why we have such a high fail rate, because they see it that way, but you don't see it that way. You're walking in there as Mr. and Mrs. Civilian and getting creamed in there. You're getting fully cooked and thrown out the oven because you don't understand what you're walking into. Coach Mitch here. So there's 5 points that the federal LEO panels are looking for. And I want you to be aware of this before you jump into the fray. The first one's always going to be judgment and decision making. It doesn't matter if you're going for the 1811s, it doesn't matter if you're going for a CBPO or BP. You have to understand they're going to ask you questions about judgment and decision making, such as the risk assessment. What is the risk assessment if I do this versus if I do this? Do your answers show constraint? Do they show awareness of the situation? Those are some of the things we're looking at within the umbrella of judgment and decision making. It isn't about just what you did. I always teach this in my coaching program. They're listening for also why you chose an action. People think, oh, I would do this, I would do that. Well, what's going to happen? The reason why they're listening for why you chose an action is because they might ask you, why did you choose that action? I do the same thing in my coaching program because I know they're going to come at you that way, either with this question number 1, or question number 2 or 3. I prepare you for those. This panel is looking for, under the umbrella of judgment and decision making, why you answer questions the way you do. Number 2 is always going to be integrity and accountability. Many of you already know who've been through my program, I'm always hammering on integrity, always, because that is, to me, the lifeblood of any decent law enforcement officer at the federal level. Is going to be your integrity. They judge that via the questions. They judge that via your SF-86. They judge that via your BI. They judge that via your polygraph. They're always going to look at that. So in the coaching program and also in the actual interview, they're going to see not that you made a mistake. They're going to ask you a question in a way that will assess whether you own up to that mistake. That's what they're looking for, is the accountability, because we are all aware, from politicians to people in church to wherever, a lot of people no longer take accountability for their behaviors, for their actions. They cannot afford you as a federal law enforcement officer to be one who doesn't understand that, right? We don't blame others for our mistakes, not in federal law enforcement. They want you to take the responsibility for yourself, own it, and then learn from it. These questions are designed that way. And a lot of people, the reason why, whether it's Secret Service, FBI, CBPO, BP, law enforcement, U.S. Marshals, they all have a pretty good high fail rate, because people keep walking into these situations believing it's going to be a civilian type interview, and it's not. It has nothing to do with a civilian type mindset or interview arena or environment, because this is a federal level, law enforcement, paramilitary, right? But people keep doing that. They're walking in here to these jobs, these interviews, and they're getting hammered from the first question on. I've had enough talks with people who have failed all across the board the first time, tell me how shocked they were at this interview process. And they go to the websites of these different jobs, right? Federal jobs. They say, well, the website wasn't very helpful. We understand that they're not designed to be helpful. They just tell you what's going on in a very basic way, and good luck to you, and hope you the best. Hope the best for you. They don't give you a whole lot of help there, of course, right? This one's the big one. It's analytical thinking and problem solving. Now, in my coaching program, I really hammer this because I know what's going to come your way. They're really going to test you heavily on analytical thinking. Can you break down complex steps so that they are then logical for me to understand? This is what they're asking you in these interview panels. Can you break down the complexity of a situation so even a 10th grader can understand what you're talking about? These questions are designed and researched. They're very serious type questions. The questions in my coaching program mimic these. They are designed to make sure you are ready as well. Can you avoid assumptions, right? Because when you look at, can you avoid assumptions? Because when you're analyzing something, it's not about assumptions. It's about facts, right? Cross-checking, references, right? That's what they're testing you on. Does this person understand how not to assume and to look for facts? So many people fall for facts, right? It's typical in your civilian type mindset because you guys are not designed in, you're not even trained or prepped for this kind of thinking in the law enforcement interview, because you don't get those kind of questions in the civilian interview, right? Well, let me see how analytical you are. It doesn't happen in that environment. You must be prepared and understand this before you walk into that arena. I want to tell you here too, when it comes to analytical thinking, and how do they see you? You think they see you as a civilian? No, they don't, you guys. They are viewing you in that seat before them, in that Zoom, as if you are already an officer or an agent. That's how they're seeing you. And this is why we have such a high fail rate, because they see it that way, but you don't see it that way. You're walking in there as Mr. and Mrs. Civilian and getting creamed in there. You're getting fully cooked and thrown out the oven because you don't understand what you're walking into. You don't need to do that. Prepare yourself before the battle. The last one's got to be mission focus. You know, some of these panels don't even ask you, why do you want to be this or that, right? They don't ask you, why do you want to be a U.S. Marshal? They don't do that. But if they did, a lot of you guys have failed because a lot of you don't study the mission focus of the position you're going for. What I know, 7 years coaching, I ask it all the time, what's the mission? And a lot of folks don't know. The first time is fine, they know that. But by 2 or 3 or 4 times, they understand what the mission is. Because if you understand the mission, then your answers will come out better, because you'll be what? You'll be mission focused, right? A mission focused mindset is always superior to one that's just there because I'm here for the job because it's cool, the badge looks cool, the job looks cool, you know. No. You're there because the mission is protect the country, keep our country safe, keep fentanyl out, whatever you want to say. If you understand the underlying reason is the mission here for what you want to do, then it's easy to answer questions because you already know what the mission is. Therefore, you are what? Mission focused. The reason why we think of mission first is because it keeps us out of me first. Again, go back, way back a little bit. I said earlier, a lot of politicians don't take responsibility. A lot of people you might even know in life think of life as me, I, me first. We can't have that for the federal LEO positioning in the interview. They don't want to hear that. There is no me first in that. It's going to have to always be mission first each and every time. Otherwise, you shouldn't be there. You guys, I'm doing this for like a long time. I've helped out FBI, Secret Service, CBPO, BP, U.S. Marshals, and civilian LEO. I know what I'm talking about here. If you're serious about passing any one of these interviews, you want help with them for sure, I'm the one who could help you. Click down my link below, get into my calendar, and I'll show you how to do it. Last year, I taught over 1,400 people. I am going to help you as well. If you really want this for your goal, if you really want that help from me, let me know. I'm here to help you. You guys take care. Have a good night. Coach Mitch. Bye-bye.